Welcome back, everybody. My name is Brad, and today I have another episode of my F1 2019 career mode. Today we are in China for the Chinese Grand Prix. Both of the upgrades that we put on at the last race, they were successful, so we got those. And if we take a look at the weather forecast, it looks like it's going to be raining for most of the race. I was hoping that it wouldn't be this early to get a rainy Grand Prix, but here it is. I am terrible in the wet weather. But hopefully we'll be able to make do. But before we have to worry about the race, we are going to jump right into qualifying.
Welcome to Shanghai, China, for what I've no doubt is going to be a fantastic F1 qualifying session. And as we wait, poised for the start of what will hopefully be a thrilling qualifying, why don't you tell us, Anthony Davidson, about the things you can do to really get the most out of a car in a session like this?
Well, you're largely limited by the Parc Ferme regulations, of course. Back in the old days, pre-2004, you'd work on both the qualifying setup and a race setup over practice, and then swap them over after qualifying. So the race car was quite different at times to the qualifying car. Nowadays, though, you have to find a compromise that works for both. There are a few things that you can still adjust during the session, such as the differential, the brake bias, and the front wing angle, but that's about it. So it's more about optimizing what you do have and adapting your own style to suit the track conditions.
So here we are for qualifying. It's not supposed to rain in the session, just in the race. So I made some adjustments to my setup. I went 580 on the wings. Since the front wing can be changed before the race, that's down lower. I also changed the brake bias, not the brake bias, but the brake pressure down a little bit so I don't lock up as much when it does rain. I can't talk right now, but going on to the end of my Q1 lap, it was a pretty good lap. We set P4 with a 134.16. We are separated from the lower ends of the midfield and the cars that are below the midfield, so I'm not too worried about getting through. Me and Grosjean are sitting pretty nice in P4 and P6 at the time, so I'm not really too worried about fast forwarding, especially with like the Williams and the Toro Rossos down there. We shouldn't get kicked out here in Q1. So as we fast forward to the end, we drop down to P8 and 9, but it's good enough to get us into the top 15 and into qualifying 2. So we're cutting to the end of my first flying lap in qualifying 2. A little bit of lock up into the last corner, but it's nothing that should lose us too much time. We come out in P8. As you might have saw, I ran out of energy to use. On that lap, I forgot to lower my engine going into turn 1. So it cost me a bit of time. P9 for me, P11 for Grosjean. That's not going to be fast enough. So we cut to the end of the session where I'm finishing my second flying lap. I am 7/10 up on my previous lap, and that's going to be good enough for P6 to get me into Q3, which means I beat out one of the top drivers on the top 3 teams on that lap. It looks like it was Devin Butler. Romain Grosjean, P11, he is eliminated, but he's gonna... Well, I was gonna say he's gonna have free choice of tire on the race, but it's not gonna matter because it's gonna be raining, so everybody's gonna have to start on the wet tires. So that's not good for him, but we'll have to see how far up the grid we can get in Q3. So I only have the one set of fresh tires for Q3, so this is my only flying lap. We go into turn 1. You don't want to go in too slow, you don't want to go in too fast. There's a lot of time to be lost through there. I take it a little bit shallow, but that's okay. Get a little bit on the curve there, probably lost a bit of time. But we get a good run out of the exit, so kind of makes up for the slow turn apex. Want to stay as tight as possible there to the curb. Get a good exit up to gear 6, but not... You want to go into gear 7 if you can, but it's gear 6 around the corner. Try to stay not completely tight to the curb there, but you don't want to go flying off around that edge. Nice double apex turn there. You want to brake right past the 100-meter board, down the gear 2. And now this is the most important turn on the calendar. If you get a good run on it here, you'll be feeling the effects all the way down the back straight. A little bit on the curve, but that's fine. We are in full power right now. Just hoping that our time is going to be low enough to get us a good spot. Brake right at the start of the rumble strip. Gear 1 around the corner. I should have short shifted up to 2, but I didn't. Take a little bit of liberties if you can there, but I didn't. And we're across the line. Where's it going to put us?
Good work.
P7. Best of the rest.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top 3. Butler, Bottas and Lewis Hamilton. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race. It's time to find out which driver is up to the task of claiming the Chinese Grand Prix. We're here in Shanghai. The ever-tightening turns 1 and 2 will prove tricky in the slippery conditions here at Shanghai, and anyone that slides wide will lose a lot of time getting back on track. Turn 14 should still be the best place for overtaking, but we'll have to see some improvement in the weather before the drivers can take advantage of that DRS assistance. And with me, as usual, is Anthony Davidson. So there's no avoiding it. Let's start by discussing Devon Butler. As with all the drivers at this level, they have a lot of ambition. But Formula One's a daunting step up from any other series, so expectations are high right from the start.
And this is something that has ended the career of many a young driver, as that leap up to Formula One proves to be too much. But luckily in this case, I'd say they're doing a good, solid job, and the risk the team took in signing them is definitely starting to pay off.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Devon Butler put in a fantastic lap yesterday and will start from pole position, and Valtteri Bottas will line up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Charles Leclerc and Vettel, Bird, Perez, Weber and Daniel Kvyat, Grosjean, Ricciardo, Pierre Gasly and Raikkonen, Hülkenberg, Norris, Lance Stroll and Antonio Giovinazzi. Russell and Robert Kubica takes the last spot on the grid. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
Now that we've got some points on the board, let's continue this form and aim for another top 10 finish.
So here we are on the grid for the race. The rain's going to go on for most of the race. It's going to clear up right at the end. So that means we're going to do 2 sets of intermediate tires. I'm putting an extra lap of fuel in the car so I can hopefully mitigate how slow I am through the corners. I'm going to bump that front wing from 5 to 7. Hopefully to also help me through the corners. It might hurt me a little on the straight, but it's a small price to pay for overall pace, because I do not want to be spinning out and understeering through all the corners here. There was no practice sessions in the wet, and all the practice programs have you go on low fuel, so you're never sure how the car is going to react under high fuel unless you go out of your way to do that. So it's going to be important. The formation lap was pretty important for me just to kind of feel how the car is reacting under this heavy rain, and it's going to be a tough not turn 1. Well, yeah, this is going to be a tough turn 1, but tough lap 1 and 2 until I get my bearings around me. So we can only hope that we don't mess this up too bad here. As we wait for the rest of the grid to form up, we'll be able to start this race. The 5 red lights go on. And away we go. Initially it's a good start, but I'm a little hesitant on the gas pedal, so we end up losing some places. 1 to Perez as we try to go around the outside here. trying to feel like how fast I can actually like push this car around the turn. Perez is boxing me in tight into the turn, and he squeezes me, and we make a little bit of contact. Kvyat goes around the outside of both of us, and knocks us down to P9 now. I could have dive bombed up the inside, but I am still hesitant on the brake and the gas at this point in the race. A little twitch there. I'd rather not spin out here. I don't want to fall all the way down to the back of the race. I would rather stay in P9 and try to take whatever points I can muster out of this race. We got our first point last time in Bahrain. I would rather, and with our upgrades coming in, I would like to keep the train going and get more points. As now we cut to the end of lap 2, I believe, or the end of lap 1. I'm not sure. But Raikkonen's going to go up my inside, but he backs out. I'm going in too hot. I can't slow the car down, and it looks like I'm going to get on the grass, and it's going to allow Raikkonen to get by, and I understeer into Norris. And we collide again. Collide, bruh. Luckily, there's no damage on either of our cars, so we'll be able to race on without too much of an issue. Raikkonen, though, is getting away from us. Big lockup going into turn 4, I believe that is. Sorry if I'm messing up the turn numbers. I don't know them off the top of my head here. But we can't really catch up to Raikkonen through this turn, and we're going to be stuck behind him. So now we're moving on to lap 3, coming around the last turn before the back straight. Raikkonen is getting away from us a little bit as we move on here. Big twitch there coming out of the final turn, and that's going to give Lucas Weber, who's behind us. I accidentally called him Norris in the last clip, but Lucas Weber has the prime opportunity to get by us. And it looks like our teammate Grosjean's going to try to get by us too, but we're going to dive up the inside. Huge lockup. And we somehow managed to keep the position from Grosjean, but we are now down to P11 behind Lucas Weber, as Hamilton sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. We're going to try to come back at Weber, but he's just too quick. If you take a look at the mini-map down there, you can tell that I am definitely holding up a lot of cars here. Everybody else is way faster than me. As I get onto the grass again, Grosjean tries to go up my outside, or inside going to the outside. But we managed to keep him behind us. But you can see that almost everybody in the Grand Prix is slower than I am. All the cars are being held up by me. Another huge lockup there. You gotta really be careful with these tires. I do not want to burn these out too quickly. But Weber's getting away. It's only a matter of time before everybody gets by me. I'll have one bad turn and then people get by me. Another lockup there as Grosjean tries to go inside and I can't control the car and I collide into him. What's not shown there is that he has damage. I accidentally gave my teammate front wing damage, and now he's going to be under attack from all the cars behind him, which is, I guess, good news for me, but bad for the team. Because if there's retirements, we were on for double points, as long as two people like crashed out or had mechanical failures. Another big spin out of there, but Grosjean's just so slow that it doesn't really matter for us. We're going to be here in P11.
Heavy rain will last in 5 minutes and will be replaced by light rain conditions. Inters look like the best time for now.
Another huge lockup, but as you heard on the team radio, the heavy rain is going to be lightening up soon, so maybe the pace will improve as the rain starts to slow down and it becomes a little bit drier than it is right now. So we're moving on later in the lap. Raikkonen is getting away from us. Grosjean is separating from us since he is being slow with wing damage. We just set our personal best sector one time, so I'm starting to finally get used to this rain, and you can see that there's a yellow flag up ahead. It looks like somebody's going slowly. It looks like that's going to be Sergio Perez with a engine failure maybe, but he's gonna, we're gonna turn in, he's gonna still be there, so we have to go wide. And he's, for some reason, just turns in and parks it on the grass there. And now there's a safety car coming. So the team wants a new strategy here. And they're gonna say change on lap 5, but I think it's a little too early to do that. Our original strategy was to go to lap 14 and do half and half on 2 sets of tires. So I'm just gonna stay out here, because even with 2 laps of the safety car, with the safety car out, that's still gonna be lap 7. We would have an extra 7 laps to run on the tires. So now we're cutting to the end of the safety car period. You can see that we are up in the P9 from Sergio Perez DNFing and somebody pitting. As you can see behind me, Roman Grosjean did not pit, so he is still on his broken front wing, which is not going to be good for him because he wasn't going that quick at all. He had terrible pace with that, so he's probably going to fall back in this Grand Prix with that wing still on his car. As we start accelerating through the start-finish line, I'm ahead of Grosjean. He has no chance to get me, and Raikkonen has got away from me pretty quickly. It wasn't a great restart for me, especially around that final corner. I've been a bit conservative through there because I don't want to like overshoot it like I have so many times during the practice sessions. So we are trying to catch Raikkonen here, see if he gets held up by any of the cars in front of him, but it doesn't look like he is. We can't really catch him. So as we move on to lap 9 now, we see a yellow flag is up ahead on the straight, and it looks like one of the Ferraris, Charles Leclerc, is going slowly with a mechanical failure or an engine failure. It's hard to tell with all the rain being kicked up here, but it looks like he is going to try to keep going on to the pits to try to get off this track here. As I go wide around the final corner, that's what I was talking about earlier. I do not like doing that. It's really risky to spin out. But Raikkonen's getting away from us again. And as we go around corner 1, we get a virtual safety car. And that's caused by Charles Leclerc. I can't talk. Charles Leclerc's Ferrari. We'll see why he causes the virtual safety car here. He doesn't pull off. He pulls off to the side, and he's going to let everybody go by like he should. But I figure he's thinking, oh, I'm going to try to go to the pits here because it's just around this last corner. So he basically parks it up right on the apex, pushes everybody off the racing line, holds up one of the Alfa Romeos, and then after all that, he is not even going to go to the pits. He's going to pull off to the side right here and park it up in a very unsafe location, which causes the virtual safety car. But we're going to cut to lap 13 now as we get up to P8 from Charles Leclerc's retirement. And we're going to get a radio message from our team here talking about the weather. And he says we are going to go back to dry shortly. It's lap 13. I'm supposed to pit on the next lap. But if the dry running is coming, if I hold out on these tires, I can probably gain a lot of time on all the cars around me. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to hold out on these tires until it is dry enough to go on to slick tires. So as we go to the end of lap 14, we will see everybody coming in for their scheduled pit stops. That's going to promote us from P9, or it was P8, all the way up to P6, 5, 4, 3, P3. We are in a podium position because we have not pit yet. Everybody else behind us is going on to their second set of intermediate tires, and now we cut to the end of the next lap as I lock up, and it looks like the two people in front of me, Bottas and one of the Red Bulls, I think that was Butler, Devin Butler, they pit. So that means I am leading this race in a Haas. And we'll see how far they are back once we hit the first sector line. Grosjean pits, so he'll hopefully get his front wing fixed. But the dry running isn't that far now. The rain has stopped coming down. The rain has stopped coming down, so it's just a matter of when the track dries out. If it dries out quickly, my advantage will be so much quicker, so much faster, longer. I'll have more time between me and the car behind me. That's basically 9 seconds between me and Hamilton. And he's going to be catching us quick as he is in the fastest car. But I will hopefully be able to manage these tires so I don't lose too much time too quickly to them.
Conditions look stable at the moment. No rain currently expected. Inters seem like the fastest tyre for now.
Inters are the fastest tire, but that will change as the track dries out.
Conditions look stable at the moment. No rain currently expected. Inters seem like the fastest tyre for now.
So as you can see, my tires are almost completely gone. We're basically into the 80% on those rears. That is, we are in puncture territory. These tires can go at any time if I'm not careful. But the track is almost dry. I believe that we only have to wait one more lap before the track is dry enough to go on the slick tires, and hopefully my tires won't pop on this lap, because then I'll have to trudge all the way back to the pit lane on them. But as we cut to the end of the lap, you can see that Hamilton is right behind us. Our tires are still holding up, even though they are extremely slow compared to Hamilton's. But with that little lock up there and a little twitch going through this corner, Hamilton is going to be right on top of us, and he's going to try to take first place from us, but we're going to try to defend it with all our might. As we go down to the back straight, DRS is not enabled yet, so Hamilton's going to have to do this on pure engine power alone as he's getting by us, but we are going to make an attempt going into the corner. We try to brake as late as we can, and we try to squeeze him out on the exit, and it works, and we're in first, but our tire actually goes. We have a puncture heading into the pit lane. Hamilton overtakes us. Bottas is going to attempt to overtake us, but we squeeze him out, and he gets pushed into the wall. And we head into the pit lane in second place, but Devin Butler is going to be right behind us, and we are going to need a quick pit stop to get out in front of him. If we even lose a little bit of time, we're going to be forced to come up behind him. But so here we go. Tires off, tires on, and we've released, and we barely get out in front of him. So that means we are going back onto the track in P2 with Devin Butler directly behind us. So we're going to have to try to hold him off the best we can. I don't think we're going to be able to catch Hamilton in clean air. And as we go on to the end of lap 22, Devin Butler is right behind us. He has the DRS, so he's going to make rapid gains on us, even though we have the engine going at basically full power. He's going to dive up the inside, and we brake as late as we can, go around the outside. He's going to try to squeeze us out, though. And it kind of works as he gets by us with better traction, so we're just going to give up and let him by. If we turn the engine down, we're just going to let the DRS carry us through this straight. But I figured that we would just be losing time if we tried to battle with Butler, and he would be getting by us inevitably. And with Verstappen 5 seconds behind us, I do not want to lose as any time that I can. I want to keep. These are going to have to be the best 5 laps of my life to keep Verstappen behind, because by the time the final lap comes, he's going to be really close and on top of us. So now at the end of the final lap, you can see that Max Verstappen is right behind me. It's all going to come down to this final straight. Whoever is leading at the end of this straight is going to take home the final podium place. As we run wide, that's going to cost us some speed on our exit down the straight. Max Verstappen is right behind us. He's going to get the DRS too. Engine in rich mix and overtake mode, as Max Verstappen is going to come cleanly around the outside with DRS. But we're going to learn from our Devin Butler overtake and go up the inside of Verstappen so we can squeeze him out on the exit. And it's whoever gets better traction here, and it looks like we got it. As long as we can keep the lead into the final corner, we'll get our first podium spot of the season, and we do. And that's it, P3.
Great work. Well done. We're really happy with the podium here.
That's it for another Grand Prix and a fantastic win for Mercedes. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, they played the safety car to absolute perfection. There are so many factors to worry about once the race is neutralised. I mean, do you pit for fresh rubber? Do you have the space behind you? How much fuel can you save? If you answer all of those questions correctly, you'll have a good chance. And that's exactly what happened today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. It's a great result for Lewis Hamilton, who moves further ahead at the top of the table. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Kimi Raikkonen is my standout today. Nothing you could construe as showboating, just an incredibly consistent performance out on track.
Let's move on to the constructors. Mercedes continue to extend their lead. Meanwhile, a strong weekend from Red Bull this time out, and they improve their position in the championship. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
I can't believe that we got P3 in the third race of the season. This car has no business of being a podium contender right now, but that excellent strategy call by me to not pit when I did and just try to rough it out on super old intermediate tires really paid off in the end. That gets us 15 points, and that gives us 16 total points in the driver's standings, putting us P7 and best of the rest. P7 is probably what we are just striving to get for the season, unless we can actually catch up to one of the top 3 teams and overtake them, but that's going to be a long shot. We jumped the P5, so we're still behind McLaren, but that was mostly because Grosjean still hasn't scored a point since the first Grand Prix. But nevertheless, it was still a fantastic result for the team, grabbing 15 points. And it's still early season, so who knows how this championship's actually going to turn out yet.
Amazing performance out there. I'm sure you're pretty happy with that. You gained a lot of positions during the race, didn't you? Everything went your way today. It looked like you had a really good strategy for the race. You really looked in control of your car out there. Your team must be thrilled. It wasn't the cleanest race today, was it? Appreciate your time.
So after a fantastic race, we have 1,300 points to spend on upgrades. So I decided to do I think a chassis upgrade. Yes, a chassis upgrade. When that comes in, it'll open up like the whole tree for me, and then I also decided to go for another engine upgrade. That after we get that one, we will get one more. When we get that major upgrade after that, it'll open up the tree for us there too. Aerodynamics is already kind of open with the 2 branching paths, so I decided to go with the engine again. And the engine is also one of the most important upgrades to do, but nevertheless, just want to thank you guys for watching. If you liked what you saw, subscribe. I would greatly appreciate if you left a comment telling me what I could do better or what you liked about this video. But thanks for watching. See you later.